Hi, I'm here to address child poverty in America and propose some solutions to child poverty. And the scope of the problem, over 16 million Americans under age 18 live below the poverty line. Kids in the U.S. experience higher poverty rates than most developed nations. Only Greece, Mexico, Israel, and Turkey have higher child poverty rates than the U.S. nationwide and worldwide. Between 2012 and 2014, federal spending fell for kids' education, nutrition, social services, and early education and care. The government in America spends just 10% of the national budget on kids, which is a fraction of what other countries spend. Poor kids are more likely to experience hunger, and food insecurity has a lifelong effect on children and their development. Lower reading and math scores, more physical and mental health problems, more emotional and behavioral problems, and a greater chance of obesity. Social justice is defined in terms of the distribution of wealth, opportunities, and privileges within a society. And nothing is more unjust than being born poor and being statistically more likely to stay poor over your life and having negative health outcomes because of poverty. Outcomes for poor children are overwhelmingly negative simply because other risk factors affect you when you are poor. And in a study called Childhood Poverty Cumulative Risk Exposure, published in 2013 in the Clinical Psychological Science Journal, researchers found that children who experience poverty before the age of 9 are at a higher risk of developing behavioral disorders, mental health problems, they have greater morbidity for chronic disease, and they even die prematurely long term. According to the Department of Education, students from 16 to 24 years old from low-income families are 7 times more likely to drop out than their more well-off peers. And because poverty is created by the way that the society and the economy operate, it can really only be solved by changing these big issues. And children are poor because their parents are poor. And studies have shown that if you are born poor, if you spend any of your childhood in poverty, you're more likely to stay poor over the long term. So we need to address why the parents are poor. And usually this has to do not only with the economy, but with the quality of their jobs and the jobs that they're qualified for. So I propose that we target jobs first, and we need to create more jobs and ensure that the jobs are accessible to everyone on the broad scale. So we need to improve education and training so that people are able to make a contribution and a secure, decent living. And it's about ensuring that the jobs we have are good jobs, that they're family-oriented jobs, that they have benefits, that they pay a living wage. And the best way to ensure that people get jobs that they need is to give them training, and to do that, the proposed program that I'm specifically recommending is a subsidized employment program, and it has been shown to be effective in other communities. Employment is the best path out of poverty for families, and subsidized employment programs help businesses create jobs. By temporarily subsidizing wages for these new jobs, oftentimes employers won't create new jobs because they can't afford them. So if we kickstart that budget for them, then they will be able to create these new jobs. And like micro-enterprise opportunities, they target underdeveloped regions and specific groups of workers, like single mothers, parents returning from incarceration, or young adults. And by incentivizing businesses, these programs not only help a family or a young adult's bottom line, but they also allow companies to tap into new workforces and equip them to be better employees through on-the-job training and stronger work history. And researchers have evaluated proven models in other states, including Florida and Georgia, for these, and participants decrease their use of public benefits over the long term after participating in one of these programs. And while testing the model in Florida, researchers found that families earned on average $2,500 more in the short term. So this is a viable long-term solution to addressing the employment issue.